Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, you make me freeze? I make you freeze. Okay, you control the heat. Bully knocks holes in wall, gets $10 for shattered hand. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. You make me freeze? I make you freeze. It's currently ranging between 0 degrees Celsius and about -5 degrees Celsius where I live. Despite this not exactly being t-shirt weather, I have a colleague who constantly cracks open windows in random rooms at work and leaves. She does in the loo, in the office kitchen, in the meeting room, everywhere. She only works half a day, so she doesn't have to suffer the cold herself. She opens the windows, then takes off a few hours later, and someone else, often me, then comes into a room where your breath makes little clouds and has to deal with it. And of course, when she comes back next morning, all the rooms will be nice and cozy again and she can restart her little mission to freeze us to our desks. I have tried to talk to her, of course. Asked her to close the windows she opened after a few minutes, explained to her how unpleasant it is to be afraid that your teeth will chip from chattering while you wait for your tea water to cook. To no avail. Her answer is usually something along, I usually close the windows, of course. If I occasionally forget, then please do me a favor and close it yourself and just turn up the heater a bit. Since to me this problem isn't worth the hassle to take it to our boss, I just went around closing her windows every day, even specifically making rounds for that. Until this week. See, her and I usually don't have 1:1 meetings due to our work being pretty different, and any bigger meetings are over video calls in our company. But this week we did have something to talk about and agreed to meet Wednesday at 8:30. At meeting time, she came knocking and expected to come into my office, but I shared it with a coworker and told her that the coworker needed quiet time and that the meeting room was empty. At this point you can probably guess that when making my window closing rounds the day before, I left the meeting room alone. You can also probably guess that I made sure to wear some extra warm clothes to work that day. And you don't even need to guess that I made sure the meeting took longer than necessary, about 15 minutes, and that I was ignoring her signs of growing discomfort while I noticeably dragged my feet. Oh no, not necessary to send me an email, just tell me and I'll write it down right now. No, really, writing it down helps me think. Wait, this pen is garbage, I'll get a new one. Didn't they used to have those good black pens just a few months ago? Haven't seen them since, but maybe one of them got forgotten in one of these drawers here. Ah, no, that's a disappointment. Well, never mind, I'll just take one of these. Maybe after our meeting, I'll ask the front office if they have more. Anyway, please continue. Okay, you control the heat. I was a vacuum contractor and had a PETA customer. She was the self-appointed thermostat queen in a large biomed just south of Boston, Massachusetts. She would call maintenance and they would call me to deal with her. It is always too hot or too cold. I had explained the situation on how the controls worked. I even showed her the plans for the system. The diffused vent was not over her head or even near her. The large area of cubicles was a single big room heated and cooled by a single rooftop unit. Per the specifications of the vice president, the area was to be controlled by a thermostat that had a fixed setting, one temp for heat and another for AC. The thermostats were located in a vented locked box. The room temp was well balanced and a recorder was installed to monitor the temp. It was within specs. After the fifth or so call about the heat being too hot or too cold, I ran a piece of thermostat wire down the internet cable duct from the ceiling to the spot just over her desk and installed a used defective old-school T87 Honeywell, the round one, at eye level. I told her she now had control of the heat and cooling, but to be very careful as she had a huge responsibility. I never got another complaint. I told the maintenance manager and we had a huge laugh about it. Every time I came back for something else I asked how she was and he would snicker. Bully knocks holes in wall, gets $10 for shattered hand. This was so long ago, in the very early 80s when video arcades were all the rage. My cousin and I worked crappy jobs, decided to open a video arcade, rented a building, repainted the place, had signs made, all the things that cost money before you make money, and were completely flat broke. Opened the arcade and had a lot of traffic, including the local bully and his minions, which completely turned the atmosphere sour when they showed up. The bully eventually wanted to show dominance to us and punched a hole in the sheetrock wall. I was furious and was ready to take him and his gang on. My cousin on the other hand laughed, bet him $5 he couldn't do it again next to where the hole was. He did it again, and my cousin gave him $5. Another round of hitting the wall, another $5. The bully is $10 up and liking this money and attention. Then my cousin bet him once again he couldn't do it for $5 and the bully took him up on the bet. This old building had lousy sheetrock, brittle and easy to knock holes in, but it was built with rough-sawed hardwood studs in the walls that had been drying into nearly steel in strength for 50 years. The guy wound up a punch, let it fly, hit the wall stud, and it wasn't sheetrock we heard breaking. With tears running down his face, holding his destroyed hand, he took off so no one would see him break down with the pain. About a week later I saw him at the convenience store, a metal rack around his hand, several pins through his fingers / back of his hand, and it strapped up to his chest, and asked him how he spent the $10. All I got was a lot of frick off, and just you wait. But it doesn't stop there. He had claimed his hand got caught in a business door and was threatening to sue that business for his medical bills when my cousin heard about it and informed the business of how the hand actually got damaged. With a little investigation, members of his gang rats him out. He wound up paying his own medical bills and was threatened with being charged with insurance fraud. Don't know if it actually happened. Later, he threatened to sue us, but the insurance company lawyer explained to him not only wasn't it an accident, but being a deliberate act, he could be sued for damages to the building. He backed down. About 2 years after that, he got his teeth knocked out in a fight, then tried to claim they got knocked out at his job, but someone informed the company what actually happened. He was fired, and they didn't pay for the teeth. Years later, I found out it was my cousin that informed his workplace. What reminded me of this? I just saw him 40+ years later in life, in my 60s now, complaining about the arthritis in his hand and talking with a lisp from the still missing teeth. Apparently, he doesn't remember I was co-owner of the arcade and was 4 feet away when he totaled his hand, tried to pass it off as a workplace injury where he got screwed out of disability. But bragging he screwed the hospital out of the bill. Or remember that it cost us about $200 to replace the sheetrock and repaint the wall. $200 we really couldn't afford at the time. Well, $210 if you count the $10 in bully bets. Moral: don't be a bully a-hole, it will follow you for life. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.